This went absolutely viral on Twitter because it's the cultural clash between communist thinking and normal people thinking. And I'll explain why it's communistic in a bit. But as you can see, it got 9 million views. And this gentleman right here, which started the whole thing, is now called the package Cuck due to a very popular comic that we're going to discuss in a little bit. But anyway, apparently his grievance is the fact that he had 2 of his packages stolen by one of his neighbors. And when he challenged the neighbor and he said, hey, I think you may have grabbed my package by mistake, the neighbor just says no and keeps walking, going back into his apartment, basically stealing his package. Now, the thing is, this guy is trying to rationalize what just happened. And he's trying to rationalize why he shouldn't actually be angry about what took place, and why, some way we should have compassion for the neighbor that's stolen the package. And he points out that the replies have a massive social divide, and this is absolutely true. Like, you have the communists and the normal people. Apparently, there are the people who understand the pros and cons of community and the upside of valuing somewhat actually quality of life. In other words, the communists, right? Like, they are very empathetic, very compassionate when it's about other people's money, when it's about other people's stuff. A lot of empathy and compassion for antisocial behavior and the criminal, which leaves not much compassion for the victim. And of course, the problem is when the victim has this ideology, they will believe that they deserve it as well. And then, of course, the normal people, which are deeply antisocial and can only interact with the world through rigid rule-abiding and false revenge fantasies. Now, again, the reason he is called the package Cuck is due to this very old comic that many people have posted. And again, like, this comic exists, and it is so popular because it actually makes fun of communists. And I keep saying communists, even if the people themselves probably, in this case, don't identify it with it, is that it's literally the only ideology that I know of. Like, there are no other ideologies that mankind has created which justify antisocial behavior to this level. Which says, no, actually, it's good. It's good that someone stole something from you. It's good if your private property that you worked hard for has been taken away from you. Because at the end of the day, someone else is happy. So you increase the happiness in the world. Like, this is a very toxic mindset. This is a mindset that creates places that are very dangerous, that are not desirable, that people do not want to live like this. Like, to me, even this image seems very foreign. The idea of a ring camera, right? Like, where you actually film what's in front of your door. Like, we do not have this in Romania, not because we do not have the technology to install it, but simply because we don't need it. Our neighborhoods aren't as dangerous. And the reason they're not as dangerous is not that we don't have people or individuals with the ability to commit crime or that crime doesn't happen ever. The reason is that we have a different culture. We have a different mindset. We changed as a society. We used to be like this, by the way. During communism era, we used to be like this. But after communism and after decades have passed, we changed. We changed our culture. We are no longer like this. Because if this were to happen to me 3 years ago in the apartment building where I grew up in, and someone just comes in and takes my package, it doesn't really matter what's in the package. It's just the simple fact. It's the audacity of it. It's like taking something that doesn't belong to you. I don't do it to others, and therefore I expect others don't do it to me. It's not a healthy mindset to have, right? So, like, if someone was to take my packages, if I was to just shout, if I raise my voice while talking to this person, other people, other neighbors would come out and they would all side with me because we're a community. They don't want their packages stolen and they empathize with me, not with the criminal, because they don't steal. And I gotta say, I didn't live in a posh place. I didn't live in a place where everyone was wealthy, where everyone was rich. In fact, most of us were probably poorer than the average American that lived in the ghetto. Like, we had access to less things, less amenities than the Americans have. Not all of us can afford Nike shoes. Not all of us could afford to eat out. Not on a daily basis, but actually go out and eat at a restaurant. And yet, despite all that, despite the socio-economic factors, we do not encourage other people to steal. We do not accept if someone would come in and steal a package. Now, again, That doesn't mean that it never happens. Like, one neighbor did have his bike stolen, but no one was siding with the criminal. No one was saying, hey, you know what, at the end of the day, that criminal, like, he got the bike and you lost one. No, like, no empathy, no compassion for the criminals. In my country, we used to have a huge problem with pickpocketers. Like, when I grew up, pickpocketing in the public transport was absolutely rampant. The public transport was filled to the brim. Every single time I had the opportunity, I would take a seat. And I didn't care if a pregnant old lady that's disabled was there. It's like, no, I need to sit down in order to guard my wallet. You're on your own, lady. I don't care, right? Very antisocial behavior, I know. But again, it was due to the culture. It's like, I know that if I'm sitting up, the chances of me getting pickpocketed are a lot higher. So as the years go by, eventually social media becomes a thing. And you have like these groups of people that formed in various cities that would travel with public transport. And whenever they saw a pickpocketer, they would immediately pounce on them. They would immobilize them. And then they would call the police. And you had these videos where the pickpocketers were screaming in agony and they were pretending that, oh my God, you're a victim. You can't do this. Oh, help, someone help, right? And they would scream everything they could. No one was siding with the pickpocketer, not a single person. Everyone was siding with the guys that were immobilizing these people and sending them over to the police. And after just a couple of years of this mentality and of videos being publicized on the internet, and people were shown that there is no empathy, no compassion for the pickpocketers, and the people that are fighting the crime are being treated like heroes, the level of pickpocketing went down dramatically. And now, of course, if I'm in a public transport, I see a pregnant lady, I get up, I offer her my seat. Different culture, different behaviors. So the cultural thing doesn't just affect, the crime rates. It also affects how people treat one another. Like, if I know that if I'm in danger, my neighbor or the people around me will help, then I am incentivized to do the same, not because I'm forced to, not because I'm compelled, not because of a certain ideology tells me. It's just like basic human nature. Like, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Even monkeys do it when it comes to picking lice off of each other. Like, it's a social communal thing. There's no ideology that tells you, no, you have to do this. You have to allow your bike to be stolen because you're doing good. No, right? It's just like having my bike stolen would actually cause me emotional harm. So I don't want other people to go through the same emotional harm. And when everyone thinks like this creates harmony. This is not harmony. This is just awful. And the thing that's also awful is the way the guy rationalizes it. Like, there's another post where he basically says, okay, well, my neighbor is actually really good. Like, he doesn't bother anyone. He's got tinted windows that are black. I can't see what's going on in his apartment, but he's not making noise. He's not causing nasty smells. I record myself while talking loudly, and he doesn't have a problem with that. And I'm thinking, you're describing an absolute weirdo. Black tinted windows? Like, that's not normal. He steals your packages? That's not normal. And your justification is, well, it's New York and you can get worse. And the reason you can get worse is because of the culture. If people are willing to justify this, why wouldn't they be willing to justify more? And again, like, this creates a lack of trust in the community. Like, I don't want you or him as my neighbor. Because if my package gets stolen, I know for sure you're not going to help. If there is a criminal that just wants to break into my house for no reason whatsoever, I know for sure you're not going to help. So like, when you have individuals that think like this is not for a healthy community. This is not something that creates a society where people want to live in. And the thing is, I know it's difficult to comprehend, especially if you are from New York, but other people do not live like this. This is not the only way. Like, there are different ways of living. By the way, there are worse ways of living than this. It's true. But like, why is our desire, why do we create ideologies that justify living worse? As human beings, we should want to improve our living conditions. We should want to improve the conditions of others. And while I see a lot of people sympathizing with the package thief, there's no one sympathizing with the victims. And this is why I keep saying that's a communist ideology. No other ideology on the world would think this way. No other ideology would justify, no, like, well, this is right, and you should want to live like this as well. It's so bizarre. It's so bewildering. I just can't even. The only way to fix it is by fixing the culture. It's not the soil. It's not like New York, like there's something in the ground, there's something in the soil. No, it's people thinking like this and encouraging others to think like this. Because again, like this was posted on social media, 9 million views. And if you don't think like this, you're antisocial. No, I'm sorry. The only antisocial person is the thief. And I would say you're antisocial as well because you want to normalize antisocial behavior in others. Now, since we're on the topic of antisocial behavior, I would like to do something antisocial myself and offer you guys buyer's remorse. If you go down into the pinned comment of my comment section, you would see several links there to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Subscribestar. And if you donate even $5, not only do you get to support the channel, but I will be antisocial and I will give you buyer remorse in exchange. You will regret the purchase. You'll see, V, how could you have done this to me? I have given you money and now I regret it. It is what it is. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the comment section. Take care.